And there's state coordinators, and they will match you up to somebody, and you set a time and all that. I don't know why that couldn't be done in person. The script is not complicated, and it's just kind of, where were you born, and where did you get your ideas, and why do you think that about so and so. What I haven't done, and I haven't seen, but I know people do it, is you just have your own meetings, and we call them alliances, it doesn't really matter. And you try to bring some balance to that, the red blue balance, and you pick a topic. And I haven't seen those scripts, and I haven't tried to do that myself, but I know people are doing it. So kind of a yes and no, but definitely yes.
Well, we could look into that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because otherwise, I mean, what are we gonna do when we get together? I mean, you know, what do people do before they get a workshop?
Have a beer.
I'm in.
We have our recruiter and we have the honestly, it's a little unusual to start talking about Alliance first, but it's been done.
Okay.
It's not that crazy.
Okay.
And you have a couple of graduates over here. And you can start by doing an online workshop on your own time. Just a couple hours in the evening. And now you can say, hey, I've done a workshop. And the more comfortable you feel. I mean, when I say, yeah, it's dangerous, I did get on an online alliance, I won't name the town, and it fell apart. And there were a couple people who came to that and just wanted to say, I read this article, why do you people think that way? And wouldn't let it go. And we couldn't control that.
Yeah,
So that can happen.
yeah.
Are you basically saying that they couldn't explain themselves, that that's the way they were thinking? Is that what you just said?
Well, the person that I'm talking about that I think disrupted the meeting was asking personally for me, I felt it was me, I mean, I was doing some of the interacting, to explain the entire, all people who are like me. I happen to be blue, so it was a question to blues, and it was a thing about voting registration. It was weird. I don't know. I kind of got hijacked, and you know, and the meeting continued for a couple more meetings. I just quit going to that one, and then it fell apart. So maybe I'm overstating it that that's why it fell apart. But
Well,
for me, that particular meeting kind of went south because the question was not, how do you feel about this, or I feel this way and I want to hear your feelings. It wasn't like that. It was explain all Democrats.
So you were put on the defensive.
Yes.
And made to, or expected, you were expected to answer for all people.
All the people.
That's the way the question was posed,
Yeah.
that I
And
as I
so
understood.
therefore, you weren't following those guidelines. You know, the group
Correct,
wasn't
and
following the
the
guidelines.
group, and even myself, I mean, I was unable to bring it into the guidelines,
Right.
and the
So
group
it
was not able.
seems that if a group is going to form, you know, that there does need to be some structure, I think, to, you know, some structure so that everyone can become familiar with what those guidelines are and
that
begin
will
to
take
practice them.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna take practice. Just a lot, I think, to, you know, get comfortable in that kind of communicating. We all want it.
Yeah.
It
And
isn't
some
easy.
alliances formed with the intention of organizing a workshop. It could be that you're not getting together to discuss a local issue right away. Could be you form because you want to bring a workshop. And it's just like organizing anything else that you would organize in town. mix of red and blues, and you decide that's what we're gonna do. That's gonna be the topic. Yes?
I was wondering, do you think it'd be to our advantage to do some of these online workshops first, but maybe do them in groups, so that people could actually experience, rather than this evening, I'm gonna go and stare at my computer for 3 hours, it's probably not gonna happen. But if we were to get together in groups to actually do some of that training, just that familiarization might bring us together better. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Together, or
Yeah,
something like
that's,
that.
I hadn't thought of that, that's a good idea. Yeah, like, Barnum is smaller than Ely, and I've been doing a lot on my own. And small Zoom meetings too, and national Zoom meetings, which is nice, because I've been around long enough, and I've,
But I was
Anyway.
thinking, the idea is to bring people together and start seeing each other as people.
yeah,
And to do it, something like that is pretty non-threatening. We're just all learning together. And we're not having to discuss an issue. We're
Yeah.
learning more skills rather than discussing a specific issue.
I'm kind of thinking while you're talking, but you'd have to look at it, and the online self-directed workshops are, they ask questions of you. They ask questions to a person, assuming that it's one person.
Are they
So-
interactive or it's just, I mean, we're not.
It's
just-
interactive, yeah, it'll be kind of like this, where there's a little bit to read, and then a little video, and then a question of you. and-
Right,
and-
but it's not like we're talking to somebody. I mean, it's just, it's.
No.
No, so I
no.
mean, we could all do the same thing. We could all watch the same thing and answer the same question for ourselves. Whether or not we choose to share it with each other is up to us. But it would be at least a way we're all reflecting on the same question at the same time as we're building our skills. And I was thinking about how do we build community with each other and not feel like we have to discuss voters' rights or abortion or whatever, but we're talking about copper nickel mining.
Yeah.
Or anything. We could just be learning together, is what I was.
And you don't do that in the workshops anyway. I mean, that's really, I think you should try, do a couple workshops, then in alliance, you would discuss mining. And I should correct myself in a sec. There are online workshops that have a moderator and have live people interacting with you. There is such a thing, yeah. Plus, there's the self-directed. So the self-directed is, to me, that's like, I love doing that. So, spend a couple hours, it's done. But yeah, you would have to do a little bit of organizing again. You need to schedule a moderator.
But I was just thinking.
Yeah,
we could do
so,
it
but there are ways to do this without having to bring someone
But we could start with the self-directed.
Yes.
Yeah.
here. And do it as a group, or do it, or everybody goes into a different room and then talks about it afterwards. I don't know, it's up to you. Yeah. Yes,
Well, I think, just as I think about this whole process, and I've been to one of the workshops before COVID, and just knowing Ely, and I think the importance of having that outside voice and the process, and going through the process, would be really beneficial to the area. And I think having the moderator would be key in this, to make sure that we are following the rules and staying on track. I'm an educator, my background is education and psychology, and I think that will be key for all of us in the room. And to make sure we have the outside voices and an equal number, and we are listening, and we're listening to listen, not to respond, and move forward. So we're doing it right, so we make sure we can move forward. I think that will be key.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we're excited, I'm glad that we want to do this, but I think we need to package it right so we can get moderators up here, so we can do it right. We're Ely, we can get people up here, that's not our problem, that's never been our problem. It's just to make sure that we're listening to each other, we're moving forward. And I don't think that will be an issue for us. I think we can put something together and get people up here, and in the meantime, do the online things that have been suggested. But I think my opinion, I think having a moderator up here to help us through this process is a key priority.
yeah,
So when you did those inner circles, when they do those.
yeah.
Is there an optimum number? Is there too many? Is there not enough? And is that where a moderator moderates, acts as the moderator?
Mhm.
Is that why you need a moderator to do that?
Yeah, that's where I got moderated.
Okay.
I was sitting in a circle and I started to say something like, well, you know, all them Reds, they do this.
Yeah.
And he was like, you gotta reword that. I mean, he didn't snap his fingers.
Yeah.
That's how I
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's like, John, maybe think of another, you know, you need to say that, you know, whatever.
So you don't want to do that practicing?
I can't do that. No.
What I mean,
And
if we all
and if
watched
a
something
workshop or
online and then
two
showed up and
is,
tried to do that, it would be
yeah,
like,
it would
like
be,
you say, you might go down that slope where it's
it
never gonna
might,
happen.
yeah, and, yeah.
Okay.
But, or it might not, I mean,
Right.
things could go very well. I certainly can't stop you from, you know, seeing how these things work and giving it a shot. But,
Well,
yeah, I think,
just-
you know, the moderators are really good. I mean,
if you've seen it without a moderator and it fails, you know, 5 times out of 10, or so many times out of so many, it's like, why even do it then? You know, it's
Yeah.
like, you know, yeah, you could do it, but why
Right.
not have a moderator? Then you know you're not gonna do it. So, if that's the way it is, I don't know. Obviously, this is all new to us, so.
And the beginning of your question was how many, and it's 7 and 7 is a red-blue workshop. And it can be done, I think it's even been done with 4. 5 is probably a minimum, maybe up to 9 or so, so somewhere in there, 5 to 9. And even it can be done without exactly a balance. It could be 7 and 6. And I don't know, they figure it out. But that's basically the red-blue. Now, like I say, the skills, all of you could be together in a skills workshop. And there'd be some pairing up. It's a lot of one person speaking and a little bit of you writing things. And then some pairing up and some interaction to practice. But, yeah, or what's the other one? Depolarizing within is another favorite. And that one is more about yourself. As it says, depolarizing within, like looking at what do I do where I'm causing that. Not just how do I perceive others, but what am I doing?
Are you saying that we're looking for common bonds between people even though we have diversity? Is that the gist of what I'm doing so far?
I like the term common ground because I can name that. I want children to be educated. I want clean water. I want breathable air. I want to feel safe walking down the street. I think that's pretty common. Now, how we get there, yeah, there could be,
And then just take it one step further, like, religion? Or is that taboo?
no. This comes up in every event ever. What is taboo? And it's a great question, so I'm glad you hit on that word. Nothing. And I listen to the news, and I hear terrible things being said by my elected officials. Sometimes the one I voted for. If we can listen to that, and yeah, I yell at the radio and all that stuff too. But where's the line there? The things that can be said by the people who are supposed to be working it out and making compromise as opposed to just finding common ground. There's no one that I want to cut out of my life and say, I'm not gonna listen to you. I kind of cut your question off a little bit,
No,
because you said that taboo thing, and I had to.
I just, my mind is going crazy. I just love to hear all this, and what people are thinking and questions that they're bringing up from themselves.
Yeah.
And I think having one-on-one or one-on-four,
Yeah.
that would be really great. Because, we all come from diverse areas. We all think differently, and we see a Christmas tree, and we go, okay, heads. You know, you're looking at it from different angles,
Yeah.
but I believe even though you're looking at it from different angles, you end up with one result, or maybe two results, you know? Anyway, results that we can all learn from. You know, it's, I've always had the opportunity to be around a lot of people in adverse situations. And when you get to realize who they are and what they've gone through, it's, you can then apply that to, well, I've had a similar situation in my life, although it wasn't, you know, something violent, it was just, I think, a bullying action, something like that. It really affects you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And I can see where it could probably be very beneficial just to, you know, we have this PTSD going on. I've got a son that is terribly affected with it. And I finally got to talk about it, you know. And a lot of times if you can just talk about what's bothering you without being ridiculed, you know, a little bit of understanding, knowing that person is not the person that you should be talking to, but you find out maybe he is. You know, like you talked about on the video up there, the two right and left. You know, I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, they're a famous story. There's a whole 50-minute documentary that can be found on YouTube, if anybody's interested in that, and it's very impactful, more than me speaking, I think. And they videotaped the second Red Blue workshop ever done, and that's where those two guys met. And they're one of the feel-good stories of the group. They're still friends. You know. And I'm hearing a lot here that y'all are pretty far along. I mean, you know, there's not me trying to pull something out of this group or explain something that you don't know. I hope I'm not coming across that way. So, you know, the choices are many. Yeah, go ahead.
You know, just by the size of the turnout here today and just sensing the energy in the room, I think it would be great to get started on the right foot, that if we were able to get a moderator here, you know, just do a little pitch, a little presentation to one of your 4 connections and see if it would be enough to have them come to Ely as far as for, you know, transportation, place to stay, dog sled ride.
If it's
Yeah.
snow,
Yeah. Well, part of
It
the
just-
videotape is great. You can report this, you could write to the Minnesota coordinators too, but I'm definitely gonna be writing some emails about.
Yeah, it seems like there's
How
inertia
ready
here,
we are.
Yes.
and just to keep it going and then keep it on track initially,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
It does
Great.
feel like a success just having even all of us in this room.
I don't want to keep repeating what others have said, but I also really advocate for structure and for us to move forward with, and start with a structure so that we kind of know how to do this and have a common understanding of how to
Yeah,
proceed.
that's the idea.
I'm pretty sure I can get us a moderator.
Oh,
My daughter has done some consulting for Braver Angels, and she's a moderator for, do you know One Small Step, the program through StoryCorps?
I've heard that, yeah.
Same, it's through StoryCorps, same concept, and she's worked with the founder of Blinken, whatever.
David
Yeah.
Blankenhorn.
I think he lives in Roseville or something, but she's a moderator for One Small Step, same concept. And I'm pretty sure that, being my daughter, I might be able to get her to come up here without too much trouble. And she's excellent, and if you wanted to do a workshop, she does a lot of the one-on-one
Uh-huh.
stuff, but she's got all the tools that it takes to keep the conversation from becoming what you were describing has sometimes happened.
Yeah.
So I'd be happy to see if I can make something like that happen for our community here.
All right, well, don't get out of here without giving me your email. That's great. Yeah, and, you know, I wish I could answer every question in more detail. Part of the problem is things have grown so quickly. And I've done a couple of those and one of those, and then I do a lot of online stuff. Is debates up there? The word debate, yeah, is under others. It's not like a scholastic debate. It's people are making statements, and then you get to do a little Q&A, and then somebody else talks. It's the only moderation that has to be done is every now and then someone will start to direct their comments towards the speaker and their personality. And I've seen that happen maybe twice out of, I don't know, 8, 10 hours of debates I've seen. So lots of ways to engage, and workshop is always on the top of my list, and I'm glad to hear that. But I don't have like, okay, this is step 2. There are many paths to getting involved. Yes.
I see there are 2 podcasts listed up there. If I were to search for those by those names, would I find them?
I would suggest that the funny thing is I can show you what, on the main website, it's not even in the menu.
On the
Like you'd
website?
think media and podcasts would be right there, yeah, but if you scroll down and you know where to look. But yeah, just look for John Wood Jr., there's not very many people call that. And Braver Way is the new one. Monica Guzman. Does anybody go to the St. Louis County Health and Human Services thing? She was just here.
Really?
She was just in Duluth in September. Yeah.
It's under Better Angels, actually. The podcast.
The podcast is called
John Wood Jr. of Better Angels, Brett Weinstein's Dark Horse podcast. Yeah, so. Then there's a John Wood show.
Yeah.
There's a sign on the door back there, the one that looks like a heart, like an anatomy, sort of drawing of a heart. That has Monica Guzman's podcast information on it. So you could take a picture of that if you get the camera. Unfortunately, I couldn't find QR cards for any of this, but the name of the podcast is on there. I've listened to several. It's fairly new, so there's only like 6 or 7 out there right now. Last one I listened to was with David Brooks, and it was excellent. So.
And John Wood is the conservative. Just so you know, if that's what you're looking for. He's amazing. He's incredibly smart. The only thing I don't like about him is he tends to be a little long-winded when he starts telling a story. But boy, it can be worth 10 minutes of your life. Yeah, some things still might come up better, Angels.
Well, I got the Braver Way Monica Guzman podcast.
Yeah. That's the new one, yeah.
Yep.
She's pretty good too. Although I haven't had as much time for her lately. But. And then fun things like good old film and book clubs. You watch the film and then everybody gets together and talks about it, just like any other book club. So, I don't know, Johnny, what do you think? Or Nick, I mean, do you guys want to try to actually call another meeting? Do you want to, I hate meetings myself, but,
Yeah, what I would, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What I would really like would be for you to fill in this form. If you didn't pick one up on your way in, they're out there by the juice and cookies. Grab one of these, fill it out, and on the back, you maybe describe anything else that's not asked of you already, and especially issues that you think we might want to get together and talk about. I would encourage everybody to do the depolarizing within workshop online, and I think even with that, we could get together and have a discussion group. But what I need in order to, and I think Nick does too, in order to keep going with this, neither one of us has the energy to just be the one person that does everything here. So I need other people, and I was imagining maybe a steering committee, equal conservative and progressive, hopefully, that could, you know, even just 4, 5, 6 people that could get together and work on things like, I'll work on the workshop, getting a person to do that, and I'll work on getting space, or I think we could have a discussion group, which is what I prefer than the term debate, because when we see presidential debates out there, that is not a good model for a debate. It's not just trying to think up the nastiest witty comment in the shortest amount of time. It's not about that. But getting together and having discussions and hearing how each other thinks and telling our own stories and why we think the way we think, that's the idea of what we're trying to do to get to know each other better. And I think we could do that around, you know, somebody like day 2 of my trying to think about this asked me if we were going to talk about mining, and I was like, that's not going to be the first thing we try to talk about. But I think there are topics that we can talk about, some of which don't even have, you know, sides so much, aren't quite as polarized. But some things like, you know, banning books in the school, or how do we think about that? And, you know, you can think of those. And if you just write them on the back, we'd have a nice list put together. And if you're interested at all in being part of the leadership of this for now and helping us organize things, please sign up or let me know or do something, send me an email. And hopefully we'll get a group together. And what do you think, Nick?
I think also, though, Johnny's running this out of her pocketbook so far. I don't think that's fair. I'm willing, obviously, to help, and I'm hoping there's some other people in the room that would be willing to do so as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the format is on a level, but we need some type of, thank you, pass the hat type of thing. Again, it's just not fair for Johnny to pay. A donation jar is a good way to
Sure,
start.
back there?
Yeah, and I know there's a membership through the website, but is there a local membership type thing at all, or what's the?
That's what we are.
You would
I know,
declare
but,
yourself a member, $12 a year, and then just say where you are.
but how do we raise money locally to pay for things?
And the Alliance area, and there's no competition here, there's no boundaries, there's nothing like that. I've defined this area kind of this general mid-northern area. It's actually listed as District 7 and 8, which really needs some work. It's not a very catchy name. But that doesn't matter. That's just a bad name. But that's what it's called right now, is the District 7 and 8 Alliance. And because we have that, if larger amounts of money come in and you want to manage them that way, you can send that money into the national group, and then you get a credit card and things like that. This is all really new to me.
I see.
But yes, so
Yeah,
yes, the
okay.
Alliance can have a bank account. And the best thing about that is if you were to go home tonight and say, I want to spend that $12 and I want it to go to that Alliance, that's where it'll show
Okay,
up.
okay.
Now, 20% of it, before I say that makes it 501c3 official. You know, this is more like little kiddie stuff that we can manage kind of as a club.
Yep.
But you start doing it that way, and then you can write it off on taxes, and it goes into that account for us.
Okay.
For you, yeah. And, you know, if later we want to name something called the Alliance, and I'll call my group the Duluth Alliance, we can do that, we can worry about that later.
Okay.
I think what I got from Tim Gustafson, who's a state person, was that once we've had this meeting, and we can say, yeah, 44 people showed up, and we have a co-chair, one red, one blue, that we can be an alliance. We are an alliance. We'll get listed on the national organization as an alliance, and then people can come to us. Yeah.
Yeah, Tim might just do that, that's how he did it for me, it's like, John, you're an Alliance.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we'll be an alliance.
Tim will
But yeah,
do it.
that's another role that, you know, if you want to be the financial management person, great. Sign that, tell me on those sheets of paper and leave them here and I'll look through. For now, Facebook seems to be a pretty good way to communicate, but I also am creating an email list, so it's very hard to think that we're going to do a phone thing, but if there are a few people who just simply do not use email or computers or whatever, and you need it to be a phone, and in that place where it says email, say, I don't do email, write your phone number, or whatever way you want us to contact you, even if it's like writing you a letter. I could even do that, a postcard, not a postcard. So,
I should clarify, the workshops have always been free. Moderators are not paid. There are paid staff at the top. The budget is, I think, like 4 million across the nation because they get on TV and things. And, you know, it's a big organization. But the workshops have always been free.
we will not be charging for attendance
No,
anyway.
no. No, but I'm just saying,
Yeah,
you've
no,
incurred some costs.
that's what I think.
I see the donation bucket or Roger's hat, whichever works.
Yeah,
If we can just get some money in there,
and nothing's
we can
free,
get
right?
Johnny back to where she's.
Yeah.
Now,
Lovely.
anything that's donated tonight will be saved for future efforts. I'm just contributing this one, that's fine.
Very nice of you, thank you.
Thank you. Dave?
Johnny, would a possible next step be a weekend workshop up here from a moderator, and then subsequent to that, be, let's say, monthly meetings or something like that, where we could practice the skills?
I think that what I would love for people to do is go out and do their own workshop, the depolarizing within. And then I think we could have a gathering, because it sounds like it's not, you know, we're not gonna get a moderator next week or in 2 weeks, or in the time period where we have this energy right now and we wanna keep it going. So I think what we'll do is, you know, I'll read your comments and your ideas. But what I would imagine is that we could have a discussion group, which I'd like to call a discussion group, where we get together, we've all done the depolarizing within, we get together, we can talk about that a little bit, we could go off and, you know, if we have this many people, we could go off into some small groups of 5 or 6 and have our own discussions about it, with maybe a question that comes out of the workshop or something. And then we could come back together as a big group, share a little bit about what we knew about each other, and then, you know, do that until we can get a moderator here to do an official workshop. Yeah.
We set a date for that, so that we would know by, well, that we are gonna meet, and they'll give us you know, a timeline for us to do our depolarizing workshop, on
Yeah.
our own.
Yeah.
And we know we're coming back.
Do you want to set a date right now?
Well, we're all here. is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because I mean, and I know-
Let's do this. I'm going to throw out a few general things, like how is Sunday afternoon? If that's a good time for you, raise your hand. That's a good count. Well, that looks good. How about Sunday evening? Not quite as good. How about, well, this is a Thursday. How about Thursday evenings?
As long as it doesn't interfere with ping pong.
Yeah, I don't know, there's a lot of things going on in town too. There's like trivia night and game night, and all kinds of things that I don't want people to have to miss. And I don't imagine we'd do this more than probably once a month, maybe, something like that. Okay. Looked like Sunday afternoon was pretty good. Somebody want to throw out another daytime suggestion?
I like the Thursday night thing, to be honest.
You like Thursday night?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
throw that up.
Yeah, 'cause Sundays can be family time too,
Sundays are
but
family time.
Thursday night looked good too, so. Well, here we
Yeah,
are,
like
it's a Thursday night. Let's
third-
stick with
third
Thursday night for this next time, and
Of course, you've already got the webpage going, I know a lot of you are on that, so that's a way to throw out ideas like this.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're giving us your emails.
What about the 18th?
If you get emails from me and you don't want them, just let me know, that's fine.